Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and spending it with us today. We truly appreciate that. What I like to do, it's so important for me to handpick, certain guests, industry influencers, people that I look up to, people that motivate me, and I truly think that will change our audience's life, okay? And if you're an agent out there, financial advisor, CPA, we have some estate planning attorneys, we have a lot of personal friends of mine, and then we have a lot of guests spread out all over the country, okay, that have nothing to do with our industry or they're tied in heavily to our industry. And the reason why I chose Chris to join us today is because he focuses 100% on fixed and indexed annuities, okay? This is a great investment alternative if you're a prospect out there, or if you're an agent out there and you've never written an annuity before, or let's say you focus primarily on annuities and write a little bit of life insurance every now and then. Everyone on this call is going to walk away with some great information. Okay, Chris is an expert in this field. He's one of our top annuity consultants. In fact, Chris, I truly just want to start off by saying thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate you taking the time as well.
Bill, absolutely. Anything for Bill Levinson. I appreciate you having me on.
I love that, man. Thank you so much. I know our audience is going to appreciate this as well. Okay, so what I want to mention is how me and Chris met, how it all began, and I also want to speak to, let's say the regular population and the general public out there that, has nothing to do with our industry and how you can also learn a little something with today's podcast. So, you're an agent out there and you're looking of ways to round out your portfolio and you say, I've always done pretty well with life insurance. I always hear the word annuity come up with my clients or prospects, and I always refer that business out. Okay, well, with the help of Levinson and Chris as the ultimate annuity consultant, our goal is to make sure that you're now comfortable proposing annuities and handling the sale yourself. Okay, and what's so neat about annuities is there's basically no underwriting. Okay, the commissions are great for you as an insurance agent, and literally you fill the application out, send it in to us, and as long as everything lines up as far as, let's say, compliance and new business gives you the green light, you can have a commission check and a policy within a week to 10 days. It's very, very simple, okay? And you have to remember, 9 out of 10 times, the client's health really doesn't make a difference. So that is huge. If you're a veteran in this space, okay, Chris is going to give us some great sales strategies that will even help you change your year, especially coming up to 2020 here. It's very important. We always want to make sure that we're increasing our income, okay, for yourself and for your family. So this is another great way for you to change out the year, okay, literally. If you're a prospect out there, okay, and you don't know much about annuities, maybe you heard the word indexed annuities, but you really don't understand how it works and how you're taxed on the income that comes back to you. We're going to shed some light on that as well. So again, my promise is that everyone walks away with some great nuggets of information, okay? By the time we're done, I want you to at least become a novice annuity agent, or if you're a client interested in some quotes or rates, obviously I want you comfortable and you can reach out to us as well, and we will make sure to put you in the right hands of one of our agents. By the way, we literally have 17,000 across the country, so it doesn't matter where you're listening in from. We have someone that can help you. Okay, so I met Chris, let's see, it's been about 7, 8 years now. And what I was so interested in when I met Chris is I wanted to hear his takes on the annuity space, okay, the ins and outs. And I wanted to know, and to me it's so important because we have all these annuity companies and they send, our VPs down to speak to us and help with trainings. But I always scratch my head because I say to myself, well, yes, this is great that one of our carriers sent a VP, but they always have a vested interest in their own carrier and products, obviously. So you got to say to yourself, well, wait a minute, is the information he or she is giving me, is that 100% correct? And could there be another product that is better for my client, right? So that happens all the time, year after year, and I appreciate those carriers. I truly do. But I love speaking to Chris because he is not only familiar with that one carrier, but he knows about all of the carriers and products and what's going on from a political side with annuities, from the IMO and brokerage space with annuities, and he also wore his agent hat as well many years ago. So he gives us a fresh take from all different angles. So that's what intrigued me most about Chris. And then what we did is we're now working together, and like I said, it's been about 7, 8 years, and what I do is I bring Chris in. We do these quarterly annuity update trainings or webinars. So every single quarter we bring Chris on live. In fact, you can check out our website for the archived webinars with Chris, and we talk all about what's hot, what's not, what's to come, what are some hot new products, everything you need to know. So check out those quarterly trainings. What I also love about Chris, and I don't want to build him up too much, but
I'm
but
feeling
I am
good
gonna,
about myself right now, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. But what I really appreciate with him is he tells it like it is. There's no gray area. It's either black or white, and he is so into this side of the business. And it's inspiring for me to see because I'm so into the insurance side of this and marketing and being one of the top IMOs in the country. Like, this is my life, and I'm laser focused on building our practice and helping our agents. Well, Chris is as focused, if not more, just on the annuity space. So I love to hear on a personal side, about how he got started, what keeps him focused day in and day out, what are some of his obstacles. So we're also going to learn a little bit about that. And then I'm also going to mention before we get started, and I ask Chris his first question, we now have Josh and Ashley in our office, and they are our 2 annuity experts, okay? So please leverage both of them for any questions. If you've never written an annuity or you're an annuity pro, I guarantee you will have something to learn with their combined over 35 years of annuity experience. So please call in anytime. There's no question that doesn't make sense or you think might not be a smart question. Don't worry about that. We are here to help you write your first annuity, or depending on who you are, your 100th annuity, let's say, for the year. Whatever the case is, we are here to help you. We have a full website, lead programs, everything set up. Okay, let me dive right in. Enough about us. I want to ask Chris if he can just take it back for a minute and explain to the audience how it all began for you growing up, let's say education-wise, how you came across annuities, maybe your first business career adventure. We want to know it all, Chris. So if you can just start from day one, that would be great.
Wow. Okay. I'd be happy to do that, Bill. Yeah, we'll go all the way back to the beginning, but well, no, not really. But I'll talk about growing up a little bit. Growing up was actually pretty tough. I had a single mom. We didn't have a lot of money. I always wondered, what are people doing? I knew some sales folks from growing up and everything that were even involved in this industry that always had me curious about life insurance, about annuities, about this side of the business. And that kind of got me just asking questions and wondering what I wanted to do with my life. And but to be honest with you, growing up, I was more into sports and girls and, things that a teenage boy might be into a bit more. I never had certainty about what I wanted to do at the end of the day. And that really went all the way through college, just really being uncertain what I wanted to do in college even. And I finally reached out to a family member who was in the insurance business, more life insurance, not really involved with annuities or anything of that nature, just to ask how I could get started. I always was a curious person. I always had questions, just what do you do exactly? And could it be something that I enjoy? The one thing I did know about myself is that I really like just conversations. I like people. I like talking to people. I like working with people, developing, growing, building with people. So in college, as a junior in college, I actually started working at a place that sets appointments for agents. Funny enough, what they do is they got leads in, mortgage leads, and they would actually set up appointments for agents to go out to these homes and talk about life insurance and mortgage protection and things like that. And of course, Bill, as you can imagine, I'm a junior in college. I'm getting paid next to nothing, but I was there to hit the phones and learn how to hit the phones for sure. So what I started doing, though, is I would see these lead cards coming in, and I would ask more and more questions, and I started to really realize the income potential behind the leads that I was calling. And then as a senior in college, I was still working there, and I started talking more and more to the owner of this organization, and he convinced me to get my insurance license. And I told him, hey, how about instead of paying me, we do a mortgage lead drop for myself? And that's exactly what he did. Over the course of a couple months, he didn't pay me, and we did a mortgage lead drop for me. And that's really how I got started in sales it happened.
That's great. That's great. let me just say one thing real quick. It's so fun. I didn't even know this part of your story, but it's so funny because I started at the same exact way. I was also into, working out and the fast cars and motorcycles and obviously dating back then, and insurance was like the last thing on my mind. But what happens is you get a little taste of it, and it's funny how, the money and helping people, it just changes your path overnight. So it's so funny, Chris, because I went down the same road. Okay, I'll let you continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, not a problem at all. I love that. And this, again, growing up with no money like that, having the conversations with the owner of the organization and just saying, well, what am I actually calling here? Well, what am I setting these appointments for? And then learning the income potential that's out there really got me interested very quickly in what I could do in this business. So I still remember doing my first appointment with those mortgage leads. It was so interesting because it went about like you would expect. I walked in 21 years old, baby-faced, had no idea what I was really doing. Of course, I got no sale there. I went into my next appointment, and of course, it was a no-show. So I'm already feeling kind of down about myself. But my third appointment, I made a $250 a month term life sale. And I can still remember my excitement to this day on how excited I was from that $250 a month term life sale for mortgage protection, 30-year term on a young couple. I was ecstatic. I thought I was well on my way to something huge. Little did I know. But at the same time, that was a term life insurance appointment. So I took the application back to the office, and one of the seasoned agents started looking at the application. He looked over one of my fact finders that I took, and he showed me how much money I left on the table based on that fact finder. And I said, what are you talking about? I left money on the table. I just made a $250 a month sale to a young couple here. What do you mean that I left all this money on the table? He said, what you need to talk about next are annuities. I said, well, I don't know the first thing about annuities. And he said, look, let me show you exactly what you did. Based on this fact finder, here's what you could have talked about. But, of course, he said, listen, you made the first sale. Your annuity could be an excellent opportunity for an annual review or a second appointment with these clients. So I did nothing wrong, he said, but this is the money that so many agents are leaving on the table based on this one fact finder with a little bit of information. So from there, I had to learn about fixed annuities ASAP. I was always just, what are fixed annuities? You just told me that I left money on the table. I can't let that happen. So I had to learn everything I possibly could about fixed annuities. From there, I continued writing mortgage protection cases. It was a great way to get some leads, get some appointments in, talk to more and more people. I did that for about 4 or 5 years, but I was really talking about annuities in every single appointment now. I was always bringing up annuities. And if you're in the business and maybe you haven't done annuities before, they can seem like a bad word sometimes with some clients, or some clients just have very little knowledge. I wanted to educate everyone possible about what these products are and what they really can do. And then one day I got a call from a position at a marketing firm that they needed a head of sales and marketing for annuities. And honestly, Bill, I jumped on that offer. And now annuities have been my focus ever since then.
Very
it took those mortgage sales to get me going.
Very interesting. And I feel like when you were an agent there working those leads, let's say you wrote that term case, you were working mortgage protection leads, and I'm sure when you wrote your first annuity and received your commission in, a week or two with no underwriting, basically, you said to yourself that, oh my gosh, this is something that became real cool real fast. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You are absolutely correct. So being a new person in the business, writing a term application, going through the underwriting, having to learn field underwriting myself. I mean, let's be honest here. I was 21 years old. I'd write a case. The person would have diabetes. I wouldn't know what to rate them. It would come back a lot more expensive. They wouldn't accept the insurance then. I start talking to the seasoned agent about annuities. He explains that very thing. Little underwriting, no underwriting. They go over suitability questions, 1 page, that's it, paid in 24 to 48 hours. And it can be an amazing amount of commission for you as well. It really turned my life around, and it was something I had to involve in every single conversation from that point on.
I love it. I love the story. Yeah, it's crazy how you start off on one path and then you wind up in a totally different place. And for us as an IMO since 1972, our main focus was always life insurance. And obviously we don't sell on a retail level, but my focus day in, day out was to build out this life insurance marketing arm. Just like your focus was the annuity side. And, for us, that the annuity topic, right, it was a bad word. I mean, we didn't even want to go down that road. and then Chris actually helped us build out our annuity department because, the same thing, from an IMO's perspective, we're looking at helping our agents and making sure they have the best products. But the same thing happened to us obviously from an IMO side, where we realized after surveying our agents, more than half of our agents have written an annuity at least one time, and why not have them write it with us? So, all of a sudden, the annuities started coming in, and we said, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And now today, annuities are made up of literally half of our paid premium, let's say, for the whole office. So it's funny how things change. And then knowing the way that I am, I'm very OCD, and if we're going to start an annuity department, it has to be the biggest and the best. And that's when, Chris came on board with us and we started hiring him as a annuity consultant. We started the quarterly trainings, and now he's also available if we need to, get him on a 3-way call or help with a case, whatever the situation is. But the same thing happened to us. And I love that part of the business. And then I also feel, yes, you can't be a master in all trades, but I also feel like that's when it was time to leverage Chris's knowledge. I knew I didn't want to be the expert. My focus is insurance, so we leveraged Chris, and then we brought in Josh and Ashley for their annuity knowledge and base. So together, I think we all made a great team, and this is the best thing we could have done. Okay, let's move on, and this is one of my favorite questions. And then, by the way, we're going to spend about another 10, 15 minutes just on Chris on a personal side, and then we're going to shift gears and talk about annuities as a whole. Even if you're a client out there thinking about this, or you're an agent, we're going to talk about what's hot, what's not, some sales strategies, all built around the annuity space. But before I move forward, I want to ask Chris real quick, and I think everybody can walk away away with a little something from this question. If you could go back, let's say about 10 years, what would you tell the younger Chris that maybe would have helped you even more with your success story? Is there anything you would have done maybe differently, or you would have told yourself now that you're the older version of Chris?
That's a great question. I would tell myself to just keep grinding, but stay patient at the same time. And that's a really difficult thing to tell a person who is just getting started in the business. If I think back and I think, when I was just 21, trying to tell me to be patient at 21 years old, would that ever work for a young guy who's hungry in the business? No. But I would try and really engage that if I were able to talk to my younger self. Stay patient. A young person in the business really needs to understand that there's a lot that you don't know. And I used to hate this saying when I was younger, that you don't know what you don't know, but you truly don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what you don't know. And I would just try and take it from there. Ask questions, be curious, understand that there are a lot of folks in the business before you. If you're a young person getting started in the business, I think I would really try to focus on that. And, I work with young folks now who are writing $50 a month cases. And, there's nothing wrong with $50 a month cases, but they have to understand that learning, getting that education, learning that field underwriting to then go into annuities can lead into writing those $500,000 annuity cases at 8% commission. And you can only really get there by being patient, by working and grinding it out. So I think I would just enforce patience with myself to take that time, learn, ask questions, and of course, be patient there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And again, it sounds easier than it really is, right?
Absolutely.
But, it's so funny. I have a lot of friends and from the gym or from, my car networking group, the car rallies we do, or from the business, all over the country. And, everybody always has, the next best idea. Hey, I'm gonna market, whatever product it is. Maybe it has to do with our industry or not. They always have the best business idea, and they're going to become a millionaire overnight. And then, literally 9 out of 10 times, you see that same person 6 months later, and you're like, "Hey, Bobby, how did it go with marketing insurance products?"
Right.
And they say, "Oh, well, really wasn't what I thought, and I was promised something that didn't happen. Now I'm selling, personal training memberships, or, whatever the case is." And it literally 9 out of 10 times, people cannot stay focused on one part of the industry or one business idea. So what you're saying is spot on. And I'm going to tell one other quick story. And I hate to interrupt, but it's so important. I remember when I first started in the business and I was marketing insurance products, my first year I made $23,000. And I remember going to the gym, every night after work. And this is when the whole mortgage boom was happening and real estate was taking off. And I'd see all these guys and girls in the gym that are basically my age, and they're pulling up to the gym in Lamborghinis and Bentleys and Rolls Royces. And at the time, they were like 23, 24, 25 years old. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell are they doing? Because I can't get there, right? And I would always scratch my head, and I started talking to them, and just saying, hey, what do you do for a living? I love, what you're driving, and I see you're successful. And they would say, oh, man, I'm selling, mortgages and refis. And they would say, you really need to come talk to me. I'd love to have you be part of the business. Or, hey, I'm in the real estate side. You should really get your real estate license. And I remember driving home saying, man, maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I'm working, 50, 60 hours a week. Maybe I'm in the wrong business and I should look into something else, right? And thank God, something kept me focused in wanting to build out the insurance marketing side. And thank God I did, because literally, I think it was a year and a half later, the whole mortgage and real estate explosion happened, and everybody lost careers and jobs, and some people went to jail, on those stated income mortgages, and everything was a disaster. Those same people were literally riding bicycles and taking buses to the gym. So I was like, you know what? Thank God I stayed in this business, and I was patient, which is exactly what Chris just said. So I think that's a great point, Chris.
That's huge.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Yep.
It's that consistency. It's okay to have the reliability of a Honda Civic and just keep being consistent with everything you're doing. Absolutely.
Yep, that's exactly right. Look at Warren Buffett. I think his daily driver car is like $22,000. So that's
amazing.
That's a great point. Okay, let's move forward here. So I'm just curious, Chris, like what is your vision, and your goals? Obviously, you want to build out this annuity arm as much as you can and provide, more and better information to all of us. But I was just curious, do you have any personal goals, business goals, anything you want to share with the audience?
The marketing firm I started working with years ago, annuities work kind of like how you looked at annuities. They weren't a huge focus at the time, and we've taken it from $50 million to $350 million in that span of time. And that growth, that production, that's always fantastic. But for me, it really comes down to relationships. I really just like growing those relationships. I think my vision moving forward is just to build, grow, and sustain more and more relationships. And I think when you have those strong relationships with folks, you have more sustainable growth ahead of you. And to me, the relationships are really the fun part of the business, right? You're talking to agents every single day here, Bill. And to me, that communication, building, growing those relationships, that's what I want to continue doing in this business. And it's a fun conversation with annuities as well. But, regardless of what you're doing, I really just want to continue growing and building more relationships with folks, both on a personal level and through business as well.
Yep, that's what it's all about. And that's it. It all goes back to being a man of your word and being transparent and no gray area. And I feel like as long as you're real and authentic, you're gonna build and build and build. And I agree that's, in my opinion, that's the most fun of what we do. So that's a great point. Okay, this is another one of my favorites, and then we're going to shift gears and go into the annuity sector. So, but before we do that, do you have any good, let's say, field stories? Maybe growing up in the business when you were working mortgage leads, maybe in the annuity side. Anything that comes to mind? Could be funny or inspiring or whatever the case is. Is there anything you want to share?
Oh my gosh, I have a bunch. I have a bunch. I share them all
like
the
one
time
or two
with the folks in this office too. There are a lot of things that happened when I was doing field sales that I didn't think were funny at the time, but now looking back, I think they're pretty funny. Like, for example, showing up to a scheduled appointment, and again, it's a scheduled appointment, and I knock on the door and I see clients sitting on the couch, and instead of getting up from The Price is Right or whatever they were watching, they just turn around and wave at me at the door and then keep watching The Price is Right. And I'm thinking, oh, what the heck, man? And I just drove an hour to get here. What's going on? But unfortunately, that happened more times than I like to admit, but that's just part of the ball game. I remember another time I went to an appointment with a doctor, actually, and this all goes back to relationships really in this business. And we talked for a while, and he was really cool. He didn't want to buy from me at the time because for two reasons. He said he wanted to shop around, and he thought I was a little too young at the time as well. At the time I was 22 or 23 years old. I kind of get where he's coming from there. But I remember calling him a few times, and he wouldn't answer the phone at all. And then he was just ignoring me, basically. We were running around in circles. A couple of months later, though, some friends and I rented a house in Port Aransas, Texas. It's like a beach town, fishing town. We were all going on a fishing trip. And I rented this beach house to go do this fishing trip and everything. And I had about 5 buddies with me. And sure enough, the owner of the house, that very doctor that I sat in an appointment with 2 months before, and he was there at the house to hand me the keys to this beach house so we could jump in there and get on with our weekend and everything. But when he saw it was me, it's like his jaw dropped. He thought I was tracking him down and chasing him down, when really it was just dumb luck and a complete coincidence. He actually sat down with me and my friends, and we had some conversation. He actually stayed, and we fried fish and had conversations and joked around. And next thing you know, he says, here, let's set up an appointment next week when you're done here. And he actually, to this day, is one of my biggest life insurance sales, one of my biggest annuity sales. And this year, just this year, again, all these years later, we wrote a DI case on him a little bit earlier this year. And sometimes it just shows that luck can really work in your favor. And at this point, we now send each other Christmas cards every single year. We talk to each other just about things other than life insurance or business. And we even meet up in Port Aransas when we go over there sometimes to have conversations and meet up and have a beer. So again, it's those relationships that can come out of this business that I like so much. And that's just one of them where luck took over a little bit, but also staying in front of him nonstop is really what got me there too.
Oh,
I like to share
great.
that one.
No. That's great. I love to hear that. And the reason why too, you talk about, luck had something to do with that, which, maybe a little bit it did, but I'm a true believer in, with all of the hard work and those late nights, I feel like good luck just finds you. I truly believe in that. And it's funny how you stayed persistent and consistent, even though you were so young, and you probably looked even younger than you were, and you just stayed true to yourself, and look how things came around full circle. That's a great lesson for our audience. And, another good lesson, because I also started so young in the business, people would look at us, especially being in the financial space, and they would say, oh my gosh, this kid's 23 years old. I've been in the business longer than he's been born, right? Longer than the life that he's lived. What is he going to show me about insurance or annuities? And it's just funny though. Yep, you keep your foot on the gas year after year, and things just start turning. So I feel like you don't have to label yourself as saying, I'm too young for this, or I feel like, yes, some people are going to judge you, but for the most part, if you stay consistent, you're going to get through it, and look how things will come full circle. Look at me and Chris today. So that's a perfect example. Okay, great stuff. All right, let's go into the annuity space now. And this is for everyone on the call, our entire audience. I don't care if you're licensed or not. This is so important, and this is what this episode is about, the real meat and potatoes here. I want Chris to speak real quick about the basics of what is an annuity and how can this help, let's say, a client or even an agent? Just give us the real nuts and bolts, Chris, the 100-foot overview, if you will.
Sure thing, Bill. I think what separates myself and what separates Levinson & Associates so much is that we can simplify things for you. Whether you're a prospect or an agent on this call right now, we want to simplify these things so you understand them as best as you possibly can. An annuity, and I always write this down because an annuity is actually defined as a form of insurance or investment entitling an investor to a series of annual sums. When you think about an annuity, you think about it as a product that will pay you a consistent paycheck for the rest of your life. And the truth is that is still the case. That is still one of the primary uses of annuities, but there are a lot of benefits to these products now. Yes, an annuity can pay you an annual lump sum of money or a monthly paycheck every single year that you're alive. It can absolutely do that. But I like to go back to my 5 benefits of fixed annuities that are really so important to me. And that is liquidity, growth potential, principal security, tax deferral, and yes, that income. And what I like to go back to is that, let's go to that first one real fast, that liquidity portion of it. Many folks think you don't have liquidity when it comes to annuities, but you absolutely do. You do have access to your money. You can access up to 10% of your money, up to 50% with some companies as well. So you definitely have some access to it if you need some money in the meantime when you're letting that money grow in that annuity. And that goes into number two, that growth potential. You have that growth potential in these products as well. These products allow you to grow your funds better than CDs can offer, better than some other financial products can offer as well. I think one of the things I love so much about these products, though, is that number three, that principal security. Why you should look at an annuity, principal security. Your money in mutual funds, 401ks is always at risk. If a big market drop happens, if you lose money in the marketplace, that won't happen with an annuity. You can put that nest egg away into one of these fixed annuities. That principal is safe. It will never go below the original amount you put into annuity if you don't take any withdrawals away from it. I talk a lot about tax deferral as well. That tax deferral is such a big benefit where other products you have to pay taxes on the gains every single year. You don't have to do that with an annuity. And finally, that income. Folks, the main reason an annuity was built for Roman soldiers years ago, how would they pay Roman soldiers who fought in these different battles? They would actually set up annuities where after the war, they would receive a lifetime payout every single month from an annuity. Those annuities aren't much different today, like those immediate annuity products. You can still receive that lifetime benefit from annuities for the rest of your life. I hope that answers the question a bit there, Bill. I'd love to go into those benefits to kind of discuss exactly what these annuity products are and how they can benefit you.
Yeah, no. That's perfect. In fact, that leads to my next question, which is if you can just explain the difference, between fixed, indexed, immediate annuities, and just kind of give everyone the basics so they know enough to be dangerous, let's say.
Yeah, just some quick basics here. The main thing I'll mention is that they're all fixed annuities, whether they're index products, whether they're immediate annuities, or traditional annuities. So you really have three different types of annuities out there. Your traditional fixed annuities, think like your CDs. Think about like your CD products that are out there. Those are going to have a fixed rate to them. So traditional fixed annuities have a fixed rate, say 5 years at 3.8%. Guaranteed every single year at 3.8%. That's the type of traditional fixed annuity. And again, a lot like a CD that you might see from your local bank. When you look at index products, those are those products that are fixed index annuities. Again, they protect your client's principal as long as it's in that annuity, but you can take advantage of market gains with no downside potential. That's the beauty of those products. You can take advantage of those market gains, those big gains in the market, but not have any downside potential when the market goes south. That's where those fixed index annuities are so powerful. And then immediate annuities, that's what most folks think about with annuities. Those fixed immediate annuities, they create that stream of monthly or annual payments for the rest of your life. Folks, those are very, very popular. Every company has an option for immediate annuities. You can defer those payouts for a year. You can defer it for 10 years if you want to, or just 30 days to start that stream of income for 10 years, 20 years, or the rest of your life if you want to. So really, those three types of annuities, traditional, index, and immediate for you.
Perfect. And I want to mention one thing too. The indexed annuities right now, okay, very, very hot topic of conversation. Like Chris said, you have really nothing to lose, okay? That old zero is your hero and everything to gain, based on the market, the S&P 500. Also for agents, commission-wise, that's where you're going to do your best. We're talking 7, 8, 9%. I mean, big numbers. And literally you go from application to being paid within a week. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, but that's where you really need to focus. Obviously it has to make sense for your client, but great conversation starter there. Okay. Moving forward, we always hear about annuity riders, income riders, living benefits now, with some products have living benefits included. Can you shed some light on that, Chris, so everyone has a good understanding?
Absolutely. All these products that we talk about, whether it's life insurance, whether it's an IUL, whether it's fixed index annuities or an immediate annuity, or even these riders that come with annuities, for the right reasons, they have outstanding benefits. Anything sold for the wrong reason is bad, right? But anything sold for the right reasons is absolutely outstanding. So there are some different riders with annuities that you can add to them for a cost, of course, but if the client is needing that, if the client has these long-term care concerns, maybe death benefit concerns, things of that nature, they can be extremely valuable. I'll start, Bill, with income riders because that's a hot topic that you hear about pretty often. They say that baby boomers have a concern. And for baby boomers, their number one concern right now is guaranteed retirement income. And I read a funny article in Think Advisor that said, baby boomers love guaranteed income, but they don't like annuities. And I thought that was really funny because annuities are what give you that guaranteed income. Maybe annuities are a bad word to some folks, but if you want that guaranteed lifetime stream of income, an annuity is the only product available that can provide it for you. And what these income riders can do for you is they can actually tell you 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, exactly what that guaranteed income amount is going to be. And for retirement planning purposes, or maybe bridging a gap between when you retire and taking Social Security, that guaranteed income, guaranteed on paper from the insurance company, is such a valuable tool. And that's why income riders exist. That's what they're there for, to show you exactly what that guaranteed income amount will be down the road. But there are a lot of different types of annuity riders that are out now. You have a lot of them that are based on doubling income as well for your clients. If let's say you're a client on the phone and you have a long-term care concern, maybe you had a parent or a grandparent, someone that you know who went into a nursing home. I won't even get into the details of it, but everyone on this call, everyone on this podcast knows that nursing homes can be extremely expensive. And even making the decision to send someone into a nursing home can be extremely difficult as well. With that being said, though, there are riders with these annuities that can help. And tied to the income riders, if your client is receiving an income from an income rider, if they need to go into a nursing home, that income will actually double for a period of up to 5 years. It's money when your clients need it the most. And that's something that is so special about what these products can do. They offer that guaranteed stream of income, but the company will double that income when your clients are confined to a nursing home. To take it one step further, this is a great conversation to have with Bill or Ashley or Josh. Some companies offer ADL-based income doublers. And all that really means is your client doesn't have to go into a nursing home. They can receive doubled income for home health care as well. If your client does not want to go into a nursing home, they can receive doubled income while they're receiving home health care. And there are just some beautiful features behind that, and it doesn't require all of the underwriting involved with long-term care insurance. Such an important thing to keep in mind as well. Yeah,
that's a good alternative. Yep, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And there are other products as well, other riders like death benefit riders also that I just want to throw out there. They're becoming more and more popular. I know it sounds morbid, but death benefit riders can be a very, very valuable tool for you. Take it, for example, if you have an older client and that client is unable to qualify for life insurance, they can add a death benefit rider to their fixed indexed annuity, and it can guarantee that the death benefit will grow by a certain amount over the course of 10 or 15 years. And that's great for a couple of reasons. One, your beneficiaries will be guaranteed to receive a certain amount of death benefit larger than how that annuity was growing. And two, let's say your client wants to leave something behind to their heirs, but they can't qualify for life insurance. Well, life insurance, of course, pays out a death benefit that's income tax free. Remember, annuities, you're going to get taxed on that income. you're going to get taxed on that amount. So if there's a death benefit passed to a beneficiary in an annuity, that will get taxed. However, if you have a death benefit rider, it can grow that death benefit so that you're alleviating some of that tax hit at the same time. Those are becoming more and more popular with companies. I can think of 10 that have that as an offering. And again, just another little sales strategy, if you will, too, when talking to clients who may be too unhealthy for life insurance.
Great. In fact, that's exactly what I was going to mention. I was going to say, even like I said in the beginning, 2 or 3 times already, if you're a insurance agent and you've never written an annuity, okay, maybe you don't want to go down that road, you'd rather bring in a referring agent, let's say, whatever the case is, think about any prospects, like Chris said, that cannot qualify for life insurance or long-term care insurance. We have some great products that have all of these riders built in, and there's no underwriting. Okay, so just think along those lines, and we can run a full illustration and send you brochures to make sure that you are comfortable with this concept. But that is a great angle, and that actually leads us perfectly into the next question, okay? And I hope everyone's writing this down, by the way. Clean piece of paper, okay? And I want you to make sure you note it. Annuity strategies, I don't care what side of the business you're on. Who are good prospects to look for when bringing up the annuity sale? Who can, and also, Chris, I'll add a second part, any good sales strategies as well that you can recommend. So 2-part question here, if you don't mind taking a few minutes on this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the biggest mistake agents can make when thinking about annuities is just thinking about them in that ultra traditional sense that, hey, this is just to create a stream of income in your retirement. And I hope by what I've been able to talk about here already, like the annuity riders and things like that there are just a lot of possibilities out there, and maybe things you're not thinking of when you go into that initial appointment. That's where a conversation with Bill or a conversation with Josh and Ashley can really benefit you, so they can help guide where that case is going. You know, you bring up what are some good prospect candidates, or who are some good prospects and candidates for annuities. The truth is anyone can qualify for an annuity. You know, if you look at some of the products, you'll see ages 0 to age 80 available. But the truth is the best candidates are really going to be clients who are 50 years old and up. And that doesn't mean they have to be, but some of the better clients, some of the better prospects that you're looking for with annuities are going to be ages 50 and up. These are going to be clients who, you know, it really depends on their need at that point. If it's a client looking to protect their money from market drops, that is a prime candidate. I'll give you an example, and this kind of rolls into some sales strategies as well. If you have a client who's 60 years old and they have $400,000 sitting in a 401k, maybe they're looking ahead to the future. Maybe they're saying, listen, we have an election next year. We are in the longest bull run that we have ever been in the stock market at this point. It's truly the longest bull run in the stock market in the history of the S&P 500. They see those types of things and they think, listen, a drop is on the way. A big market drop is on the way. In 2008, the market dropped 38%. What did that mean for your clients? What did that mean for you if you're on the phone as well? If you had a 401k, for example, and it dropped 38% and you were a couple of years away from retirement in 2008, that could have meant a multitude of things. That could have meant that you're not retiring. That could have meant you had to work for 10 more years. Or maybe you can't afford your child's education like you were hoping to help pay for a bit. It could have meant a lot, but with a fixed annuity, fixed index or a traditional annuity, that money is safe. It will not drop in value from the point that you put it into that annuity. And the great part about it is it can still gain growth in those higher years in the market. That's what's so outstanding. You can still take advantage of that growth. So a client who is really looking to safeguard some of their money or protect that 401k or that IRA that they have, those are truly prime candidates for annuities. Anyone who's about to retire, who's used to getting a paycheck, think about yourselves. Think about, put yourself in your client's shoes as well. We get kind of used to receiving a paycheck every 2 weeks, right? It's easy to do. You retire and suddenly that paycheck's no longer there. What can an annuity provide for you? It can provide that paycheck, that consistency for the rest of your client's life, or over a course of 5, 10, 20 years, whatever you decide to make that payout to be. That's an outstanding strategy as well. One thing I'll mention as well that is really becoming more and more popular here are Social Security gaps. Folks, if you're on this podcast right now, if you're listening, what is the ideal age to take Social Security? 62 or age 70? Age 70 would be more ideal, right? Because at age 70, you're receiving a larger Social Security check. But let me ask you a question. If you pass away at 68 and never turned on that Social Security, what good does it do, right? You never took advantage of the Social Security to begin with. So what do you want to do in some situations? You may want to create a liquidity bridge, and that's something else we like to work with folks with. Create that liquidity bridge. Maybe at age 62 you retire, but you don't want to take Social Security until you're age 70, but you need to receive some money or at least have access to some money for those next 8 years so you can take advantage of that larger Social Security check. That's what some of these annuities can help you do. We create a liquidity bridge for you. So when you hit age 70, you can take that larger Social Security check at that point. Just a lot of different sales strategies as well out there. I'm going to mention one more too, because I've already talked about it, but the death benefit riders are such a big one. Again, I know, Bill, you've always worked with the life insurance side. You have a lot of life insurance agents who will listen to this podcast. Think about those clients who could not qualify for life insurance, who maybe want to leave money to their heirs. 43% of baby boomers say they want to leave money to their heirs. They want to leave something behind, whether it's the grandchildren or their children. That's where those death benefit riders can be a huge, huge benefit to your clients. It can save them in taxes. It can get them that ability to avoid probate as well, because they're naming a beneficiary on the annuity contract, just like they do with a life insurance contract. Hopefully those are a few good ideas there, Bill. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted me to mention as well.
No. That's perfect. And by the way, so I mentioned it a couple times already, those quarterly trainings that we have with Chris, we bring up new sales concepts, sales strategies. So try to tune in on those. And even if you don't want to wait, let's say you don't have much patience, right? And you want to look at our archived library, you can go back even a couple years and listen to some of our past quarterly trainings with Chris, just to make sure that you're comfortable and maybe you can learn about a new concept that will literally change your business for the new year. So check that out as well. Okay, now this question comes up all the time, and obviously, we're not CPAs, and we never want to give any tax advice because we have to be real careful with your errors and omissions, right, when talking about taxes. And things also change very frequently, as we know. But, Chris, if you don't mind, can you just give us a black and white overview of how the annuitant is taxed, just to give enough information for the agents just so they can be dangerous and sound intelligent. Do you mind touching on this?
Yeah, no problem. I like to do 3 bullet points when it comes to taxes with annuities. Just 3 things that are very simple if a client asks. Because again, like Bill said, you have to be careful with treading waters when it comes to taxes, and things really do change frequently. But the 3 points I like to make, number 1, tax deferral. Fixed annuities are tax deferred. This really means that your interest grows on top of your interest, grows on top of your interest, grows on top of your interest. Versus a CD, for example, interest gains are taxed every single year. An annuity can continue to grow. So if that annuity gains 3%, that next 3% grows on top of that other 3%, grows on top of it. You're not paying taxes annually. It is tax deferred. The differences can be amazing. I actually have a chart that I can provide to Bill to show you the benefits of tax deferral versus something with a CD. One thing I love about annuities is control. So tax deferral and now control. You can actually control your tax bill when it comes to annuities. If you take $500,000 in retirement and you just take that out as a lump sum, you could be hit with a huge tax responsibility, right? But if you receive that in monthly disbursements for the rest of your life, suddenly you're controlling that tax bill at a time when you're at a fixed income, at a time when you're in a lower tax bracket as well. And then, like I mentioned before, taxes at death, the one thing you do want to be careful about, so we talked about tax deferral, we talked about controlling that tax bill, taxes at death, just keep in mind, this is different than a life insurance policy. Life insurance policies are income tax-free. Annuities, there are taxes on the gains at death. There are taxes on the gains at death. That's why I bring up that death benefit rider so much, as that being a nice feature. If your clients know they never want to touch the annuity, they just want to leave it to somebody else, they want to leave it to a beneficiary that they can name on an annuity contract and still help alleviate some of those taxes by adding a death benefit rider. I think that's just 3 really important points to make there about taxes and annuities.
Perfect. That is spot on. And, I just want to mention, I have a couple of questions left, but I want to mention this just came in last night. This is actually a comment from one of our agents here locally that was working with our latest annuity employee here in the office, Ashley. And he sent this email yesterday, literally. And in fact, I'll include, we have a few slides that are going to go along with this podcast that we'll include on the YouTube section. But I just want to say this. So the email comes in, the subject is 401k rollover. Okay, this happens to be with Equitrust. So he sends the email. It says, "Hi guys, I just want to let you know my client went from zero cash out to over $40,000 on her 401k in less than 8 hours due to the help of your latest acquisition, Ashley." Okay, this 401k was originally over $230,000. The company approved the transaction immediately, thanks to Ashley. The check will be sent today. Okay, and he says, "Thank you so much, Carrie and Bill, most of all, Ashley. The client is paying off all of her debt and now applying for an overfunded IUL policy for over $1,500 a month. Thank you, guys." So that is a great example of leveraging our resources, okay? Ashley, Josh, and if we need to, we can get Chris involved. But the agent came out of this looking like a superhero due to our support, okay? He took our information, related to the client, and look at how things turned around. And this agent is going to make a fortune. Now he has a new annuity sale and a new IUL sale, all with one phone call. And he's a superhero. Most important, helped his client tremendously. So that's a perfect example. Okay, I have just a couple questions left, and then we're going to wrap this up. Everybody always scratches their head and said, "All right, Chris, this sounds great. I'm going to spend some money now on marketing for annuities and mailers and seminars, and this is wonderful, right?" But what's going to happen in the annuity space, right, in the future from a political side? What is your take, Chris, on the future of annuities and how things will be positioned down the road? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, guys, that's a great question because we don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but I really don't think the products change. The last election had possibly a lot of changes coming to annuities, depending on who was elected, depending on who got in the House, things like that. A lot of those regulations are behind us at this point. And I honestly, I don't see that changing here for a while. What I do see changing a bit is you'll have a lot more distributors in the business. You have more organizations getting involved with annuities, but you also have more companies getting involved with annuities. And when you have more companies, that creates more competition, which is a good thing. That competition inspires some companies to really up their game or get creative with these products and what they can offer clients. So I think we're going to see a lot more creativity coming forward in the future with these products. As far as how they'll be positioned, my vision really for annuities is that we need to focus on what these products can do and not what they might do. And I think that's going to be so powerful for you when you have conversations with your clients. The benefits I mentioned when Bill asked me to introduce annuities and just give a a 500-foot overview of them, are really still there, and those are still going to be there. In the immediate future, we really have a lot of uncertainty. Think about what you see in the markets right now. Between trade wars, you have inconsistent economies overseas, a lot of political turmoil. We have an election coming up next year. We don't know what's going to happen there. We have a lot of things out of our control. And I think where these products need to be positioned for the future is on what they're guaranteed to do. That's why I really love that capital preservation aspect of what these products can do so much. That is something they can do, not what they might do. What they definitely can do as a possibility is still take advantage of that growth in the marketplace. But as we have some political turmoil coming, that nervousness around this long bull run that we're having in the S&P 500, I love that capital preservation aspect for the future conversations you have with your clients.
Yeah, no, that's strong, and I happen to agree with you 100%. There was some talk about a year ago of things could change, maybe on the commission side. You might have to be an RIA to participate in selling annuities. There might be, one set fee as far as commissions are concerned. And obviously nothing has happened up to this point. For now, I would bank on those guarantees and how these annuities can help you and your clients. So I think that's a good takeaway. Okay, we're going to wrap this up and move forward here. Is there anything else, Chris, that you could think of? Closing comments, any advice on a personal side, on a business side, any suggestions that would help our audience, maybe relating to the industry or not? Any last takeaways here?
Nice open-ended question there. I think we can go so many directions, but I think I'll stick to what I said before. Patience is key. If you've been in the business for 2 years, patience is key. If you've been in the business for 30 years and you're listening to this podcast, still patience is really key for you. And I think clients know when there's desperation in your voice and you're not being patient with them, and that's important, but also just being patient in your personal life as well and where things are headed. Success shouldn't only be measured in dollars and cents. It's what you do with your family. It's the time you spend with them as well. Have that patience in all aspects and never stop working hard. Keep grinding it out. Be present to take advantage of those opportunities when they come up, kind of like that example I gave before. But patience to understand that better things can really be in your future if you keep on learning and educating yourself in this business. And Bill, I'll tell you, my patience will be tested next year because I'm actually expecting my firstborn in May of next year. So we'll see if I can stick to what I'm saying here.
Yeah, congratulations. I didn't even know that. That's great news, Chris. Thanks for sharing that, too, with our audience today for the first time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I wish you lots of luck, as always. I know you're a great person inside and out, so I'm sure everything will work out great for you guys. Okay,
Thanks so much.
and yeah, of course. And I'm just going to say a couple last comments here, and then we'll put a bow on this episode. So real quick, if you're a prospect out there that maybe you're listening, maybe for some inspiring thoughts, maybe as a possible investment vehicle, I think we've all learned that this is a safe, conservative bet and a great way to round out your investment portfolio. So definitely worth speaking to one of our agents about. If you're an agent out there listening, this is a no-brainer, folks, okay? If you've never written one of these, okay, depend and rely on our resources, okay? I just showed you an example of an email that came in last night, someone that just called up Ashley, and she helped that agent and literally gave him all of the tools he needed to come up with this great Superman approach, which obviously this worked out great for everyone involved, client and agent. Also, if you're a veteran, look at some of our great tools and technology. We have a free scholarship program that comes with the sale of any of our qualifying annuities. We have some great seminar material. We have some really neat stuff that you can leverage for free, okay? As long as you're appointed with us, we have a MAP program, lead programs, all built around annuities. So if this isn't a hint, okay, that you need to take this serious and start to look under our covers and leverage our resources, okay? If you can't take that and see what we're trying to say, then, I don't know what else to tell you, but I would encourage you to pick up the phone, call us if you're local, come in the office, and we'll take this to the next level for you. Okay, on a personal side, the never stop learning comment is crucial. And, I've been doing this now for over 20 years, and literally every day I'm learning something still. Okay, you never know it all. There's always something new that's changing, and you have to kind of pivot and constantly learn, and that's any industry, quite frankly. Being patient, like I said earlier, my gym story. I saw all these guys and girls driving around in fancy cars and wearing Rolex watches, and they were all tied to the real estate industry and mortgages and refis, and it looked very appealing as a young kid growing up. But thank God I stayed patient. I kept my eye on the ball, and look at me and Chris today. I hate to sound conceited, but we're both successful guys. We're making it happen. We have a long way to go, but I'll tell you one thing, we're doing a lot better than most of our competitors out there. So there's a reason for that. Stay patient, and you're never too young. I don't care if you're 19, you just got your insurance license. Okay? Don't ever label yourself or tell yourself, hey, they're not going to take me serious. That's not true. Walk in that meeting or seminar, whatever it is, and look in the mirror first and say, you got this, and be yourself. That's the biggest takeaway that I can stress, okay? Be you, because Chris did exactly that. It came full circle, and he still got the sale from the doctor. So that's a perfect example. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for taking the time. Most important, Chris, thank you so much, and good luck with your future family. That's the ultimate blessing. So good luck and kudos to you. Have a great rest of the year, a great holiday season, great selling. Let's take your business to the next level. Take care, and thank you again.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.